Alright, it's time you took advantage of these things and the fancy heart rate monitors they have in the back of them, or more ideally using a heart rate strap, but like this zone 2, like running slower to get faster thing. How does it all work? Alright, so I've got 4 things that I've written down here, and if you subscribe to my mailing list or you follow me on Instagram, like you've probably already seen those. I put them out maybe yesterday or the day before. Right, so I reckon heart rate is the easiest way to build base fitness, which then on top of you can build your speed and your threshold. But without properly utilizing your heart rate, it's not going to work. If you haven't set your zones or your thresholds properly, or you're kind of just ignoring the data, then what's it good for? Right? The data's only as good as what we can understand to use it for, as good as the measurement, really. So, and number one, right? Number one, we've got to set our threshold and then calculate our zones, right? And so the easiest way to do that, you may have heard me talk about it before, it's like the 30-minute test. Just go handy for 30 minutes. Okay, take a lap at the start, take a lap at 10 minutes, and take a lap at 30 minutes. So that's when I say take a lap, that's like take a lap on your watch, and then you get the average data for from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. So you've got a 30-minute thing, you take a lap at 10 and then at 30, and boom, you've got the average over that last 20 minutes. Average pace, average power, average heart rate. We can use this as the starting point to establish your threshold. Then what you can do is jump in the description, grab my calculators, which is just on my website. You just plug in the threshold, that average number over the last 20 minutes. Boom, it will spit out your zones, right? I use 7 zones. I have a podcast on why I use 7 and how they all work and what they all correlate to. But, you know, there's also down the bottom of the website calculators. So once you've got that, look, you're going to have to figure out how to get it into your watch. I will be putting up some stuff on that, but it's a bit higgledy-piggledy depending on like what generation your watch is and what app you're using, like whether you use like a Training Peaks or a Strava to analyze your workouts, and yeah. So anyway, that's like the first point. I'll allow you guys to like figure out how to get the zones into your watch, but for now, do the 30-minute test, figure that out, and then otherwise, if you're like, I can't run hard for 30 minutes, like I'm a bit injured, but I want to do slow training, then just grab a max heart rate and work out percentages, similar percentages from a real max, not a like any number, 220 minus your age or anything like that. Use an actual max heart rate from the last 6 months. All right, so then we're going on to number 2, and that's creating your heart rate controlled training plan. Now, last week, or before the Chorus episode, I spoke about an 80-20 training plan. So you got 80% easy, 20% specific and hard, which is going to be dedicated to eliminating your weaknesses and building towards your next event. So, with the 80%, it needs to be zone 1, zone 2. Okay, we've done the test, we've got the threshold, we've got our training zones. Now we need to make sure that slow is slow, right? It's below zone 2, and then that's going to be 80%. So that's like, you know, I spoke about in the 80-20 episode, but it's like going to be your 3 out of 5 runs. It's just going to be super chill, easy, conversational pace, not pushing on the ups, not allowing cardiac drift, just slowing down when we need to, so that we can create a really productive cellular environment for generating mitochondria, for enhancing oxidative phosphorylation, or like the burning of fats, the transport of oxygen. So oxygen, we breathe in air, oxygen transports across our alveoli within our lungs, and then that in turn is absorbed by the red blood cells, the hemoglobin within our circulating blood, that transports it to the working muscle. We have myoglobin within the working muscle. More of that we have, the more higher affinity for oxygen we'll be able to draw out of our blood, and then we can transport that to the mitochondria. The more mitochondria we have, the more we can use. The more fat we have plenty, so we need fatty acid transport, acyl fatty acid transporters across the mitochondrial membrane. Hey, look, it's pretty sciencey, really, but pretty much if we target that and like that particular pathway, that physiological biochemical pathway within our training, we can enhance and optimize it, and that is base fitness, right? Beyond that, look, hey, as someone commented in one of my social posts, like, you got to run fast to get fast. I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to say you're going to run a world-class 5k by just doing zone 1, zone 2, but you will get way faster than you currently are by building a larger base, because you have a larger base to build your house upon. All right, so then we're getting into 3, which is adding the specificity. So whether you want to, target hills, whether you want to work your threshold, whether you want to actually work speed, neuromuscular like recruitment, like muscular coordination, like you're just a bit unco, or you got, you want to run a fast 5k. That's where you use your 20%, right? So for me, I'm kind of indecisive whether I'm going to do a 10k or a half marathon in about 5 weeks. But regardless, I need to lift my threshold. Coming off of ultra training, huge base, right? I was still doing a bit of speed work, so I got some good leg speed. I'm all right in that department. But that like mid-range, like upper zone 3, zone 4, bottom zone 5, that like half marathon 10k like sustained threshold, it's non-existent. I did 4 1Ks just this morning actually. If you follow me on Strava, you would have seen those, and that was rough. That was like something that should have felt pretty comfortable, but after like 4, I was gassed. And so anyway, that's what I'm working on as part of my 20%, right? I'm trying to build my threshold so that I can, see how the speed develops and sustain threshold, and so I can decide 10k or half is the next. But the overall goal is building towards my marathon in May, or for those watching, like 12 weeks or so. So I've got my 20%, which is the specificity and the hard, and it's targeted towards like a weakness that I have that is going to build towards the event that I have coming up. So that's awesome. Got that sorted. Remember, you can steal my Pro Coach's formula for smashing mind-blowing PBs in the description, and that will lay out kind of this whole process that I work through. And depends on when you're watching this, you can sign up to my ABC's masterclass to watch and join with me live, so you can get a bit of Q&A and figure out, how or what might work better for you. So that's 3, and then 4, fourth and final one, easy as, short one today, is making sure you hold yourself accountable. So that is reviewing your data. And I'm not talking about hardcore analytics. I'm just talking about checking your time and zones after each run, specifically your easy runs, right? So a lot of watchers, after you've gone through, I'll see if I can try and bring it up while I'm talking, will have the ability to just scroll through, your summary data. So it'll say, whatever, like, this is how fast you ran, this is how far, this is how long, and then there'll also be, you keep scrolling, and there'll be a couple like extra bits of information. And so I'm just going to show you mine here, where it'll have like your time and zones, right? And so that's what I want you to check. Were you zone 1, zone 2 for the entire run? And now sometimes, if depends on what watch you're using, like if I've got a Chorus, so the bottom, I had to change the bottom of zone 1, so otherwise it just said I was just running in zone 0. But hey, anyway, as long as you're not in zone 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then you're golden, right? That's perfect. Because what I see a lot of people doing when they're getting into heart rate training is looking at average. Like, okay, I need to be between 145 and 155. That's cool. 147 average. Easy. Nailed it. In actual fact, what happened was you started out and you ran kind of steady, but you're fit enough to be able to handle that for half an hour. You're doing a 1 hour run. Then it starts to get challenging. Then your lack of aerobic capacity and muscular conditioning starts to come to the fore, and so now you're starting to recruit a larger muscle mass, you're requiring a larger stroke volume or cardiac output, so your heart rate increases, And now, because the oxygen demand increases, the need to clear metabolic byproducts such as the acidity of lactate buffering the with the bicarbonate pool, and you've got to blow off the CO2 and the water, and it starts to build, and so your heart rate goes up and up and up. But you may not drift into zone 3 until, say, the last 10-15 minutes. So you started, top of zone 1, bottom of zone 2, and you think you're golden. On average, you look like you slotted straight into zone 2, but in actual fact, you just grey zoned the whole run, really. Because once it got too hard, you just kept pushing, and so you didn't create that positive, healthy cellular environment. You just kind of delayed the ability for you to be able to recover. You start to build chronic fatigue, and then your runs go backwards, you plateau, you get burnt out, you get unmotivated, etc., etc. I've talked about it a lot. And so the same goes for when you're running in undulating places, like hilly places, and you push into zone 3 on the uphills, and then you chill on the downhills. I've got no problem with chilling on the downhills, all right? You don't have to stay within your zone 2 bracket on the downhills. If you're just running comfortably, that's all good. It's on the uphills where you need to be able to aerobically generate muscle power, all right? So large muscle recruitments aerobically, and so in order to do that, because you're recruiting a larger muscle mass, you need to go slower. And so the slower muscle recruitments, even being larger, are really good for aerobic development because you get to recruit a typically not very aerobic muscle fiber, typically a type 2X muscle fiber, and you can start to, stimulate aerobic change to those muscle fibers. And that's why hill training's really awesome, and why running hills is all good. And really, that's it. What else have I put? That's pretty much it. That's my 4 steps to getting into heart rate training and trying to understand that zone 2, how to get started, and the basics really. So make sure I do all these on podcasts as well as on the video, and then I also post up the summary on Instagram and through my email list, and then I've got the training plans that adjust to your specific thresholds, pace, power, heart rate, and all available in the description. Just follow me and you can keep up to date with everything. All right, thanks for the messages of support so far. Really enjoying this. All right, see ya. Happy running. #faster with data.